Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Pranay, Sarvesh, and Devdutt, and today we will be presenting our project, which is Secure AWS WordPress website. In this project, we mainly focus on building and evaluating a secure cloud-based WordPress deployment. Our main approach was to integrate security from the design phase itself rather than implementing it later on. So, if we talk about the AWS stack and architecture, we designed a custom VPC. Uh, we designed a custom VPC with subnet separation using public and private layers for isolation. We implemented load balancing with SSL using ACM to ensure a secure user access. We also integrated Cloudflare as an external layer to protect and mask the origin infrastructure. If we talk about the network flow and security implementations, we ensure that communication is encrypted across every layer of the architecture. We configure strict security rules to control access and prevent lateral movement. And thirdly, we implemented application level protections, which included first to multi-factor authentication, that is two-factor authentication. And we also restricted the admin access. If we talk about the architecture diagram, in this diagram, we are showing the key traffic flow and the trust boundaries within the system. We also structured the system to clearly separate the internet-facing components from the internal resources. This design helped us ensure control data flow and reduce the risk of unauthorized access. If we talk about finding risk, challenges, and conclusion from our testing, we could observe that the external scans provided us with the limited visibility due to Cloudflare, which interrupted some of our scans on the Nmap and things. We also identified a key limitation where the actual backend infrastructure is not fully exposed for testing. So we came to a conclusion that while the design is secure enough, there is still validated gaps that we could work upon. So now Sarvesh would walk you through our AWS implementation. So over to you, Sarvesh.
Thank you, Pranay, for your introduction. Let me just take it ahead from the website itself. This is a WordPress site running on the custom domain, not the architect group.tech. The architects is a group of the name. This is the website that we have a basic network architecture diagram. The website is accessible HTTPS and HTTP traffic to, and it is redirect, and the HTTP traffic is redirected to the HTTPS. This shows the secure architecture that we have implemented. I'll start with the most basic thing that we have implemented, that is the VPC. We have developed a custom VPC for this. I've used two public subnets and two private subnets for this. The public subnets are used as the internet-facing services, while the private subnet are used for the database tie-up. This was done to improve the network segmentation and reduce the unnecessary exposure. The next thing that I would like to show is the instance that we have created. The EC2 instance hosts the WordPress application. It runs on the basic Amazon Linux 2023, and it acts as a backend server. Here we have the public IP, the private IP. There is no elastic IP involved, and the reason behind this is the ALB is directly communicating over the internet, and there is no need of particularly pointing an elastic IP to the instance itself. So we have the ALB that is communicating with the Cloudflare, so there is no need of elastic IP overall. In the security group, we have two inbound rules. One is the SSH that is restricted to my IP, and another one is the HTTP, that is the ALB connection that we have. The EC2 architecture was hardened so that the no longer it was directly accessible to the public users from the start itself. So that is the reason we had the SSH hardened itself from the start. I would like to show you the security group that we have implemented for the website WordPress application here. As you can see, there are two rules. Next, I'd like to show you the RDS MySQL, that database that we have used for this particular thing. From the LAMP stack, the MariaDB that was there, we did not use that, and we have created used the RDS from the AWS services, particularly since it helped us to bifurcate and more securely develop the application. And we have used this RDS and created a new security group for this RDS specifically. The database only accepts MySQL traffic from the EC2 security group. This follows the least privilege and ensures that the WordPress application server can connect to the database. This is the security group for the WordPress, and as you can see here, the port is 3306 and the type is MySQL. Next, I'd like to show you the application load balancer. This application load balancer is the main focus, and it directly connects to the internet. We have two listeners here. One is the HTTP listener. The HTTP listener redirects to the HTTPS, and we have the HTTPS listener, and this HTTPS listener forwards to the target group. The HTTPS on 443 was configured using the ACM certificate and forwards the traffic to the backend target group. Let me show you the target group once. Here we have the target group, which shows the redirection from the HTTPS. This is the AWS certificate manager. The certificate issued to the custom domain and it was attached to the ALB HTTPS listener. This is what allows the website to be accessed over the securely over the HTTPS. I like to show you the Cloudflare settings as well. So these are the Cloudflare DNS records that we have added. As you can see, the CNAME for this, we have added a DNS only uh, at the start, and then for the not the architecture.tech, we it is pointing to the ALB, and the same is for www. The root is the root is overall open, and we have not added the root anywhere. As you can see, the Cloudflare name servers have been added in the .tech domain. Uh, Yeah, no, these are the names that had been added in the .tech domains. Then we have then I like to demonstrate one of the two-factor authentication that we have implemented. So this is for the WP login. If you log in into this, uh, it is asking for the verification code, and this verification code is generated at the Google Authenticator. Let me demonstrate you that. So in the Google Authenticator, we have so the below one that is not the architectdomain.com. So if I just enter the uh, code here, 86065. So this is the two-factor authentication that I'm talking about. This was implemented using a plugin from the WordPress itself. That was WP2FA, and we have a inbuilt WAF that has been used. That is WordFriends. This particular WAF is was used since we had a limitation over the AWS WAF because of the student academy. The academy account. So that's it from my side. I'd like to call Dave for the further explanation about the testing process.
Thanks, man, Sarvesh. You left very little room for me to actually test stuff. This was a very tightly wound security, as we can see. So let me start by actually, Sarvesh, can you go to, yeah, great. So let me start by telling you what we actually built. As you might already As you already heard, we put the WordPress tag behind the Cloudflare and an ALB with HTTPS, and the parameter looks pretty strong from the outside. Scans that we conducted mostly saw Cloudflare. We saw only 80443 and 8080 port. Automated probes like WP scan, Nikto, these were blocked or cut short. That's good for noisy attackers, but it also shows that somewhere around the lines that the true origin state of the server, we can't assume that it's clean, right? That's strictly from the testing point of view. Inside the app, a few default entry points kind of remain visible, like the WP JSON. This is partially restricted, but it isn't fully disabled. It can still power brute force or ping backup use. The REST API is pretty normal for WordPress, yet it can leak user config details if it's not tightened like in the later processes. At the browser level, the security headers are basic. We are missing HSTS, sorry, my bad, CSP, and stronger framing frameworks. So there's still a bit of exposure to the cross-site scripting, clickjacking, and mixed content downgrade. We did hit an operational snag with WP login at HTTPS, but we later resolved it at the some further down the stages. It's a reminder that reverse proxy awareness needs to be baked into WordPress config and not just added later on, right? So that's something that we actually learned through the process. The good news overall is that the architecture choices are solid. The custom VPC segmentation, private RDS, ALB terminated HTTPS, and EC2 port 80 are locked to the ALB, the load balancer. WordFence as like an in-hand WAF, you know, for scanning and two-factor authentications. Now I'd like to take you through the scans that I conducted one by one. These were actually some of the very interesting things that I learned along the way, right? So the first two scans, right, NS lookup and the dig command, they tell us basically what our domain stands for and like what IPs are there. For example, like you can see here that we can observe the IP 104.21.14.161, the public IP. Suresh, can you go further down? Yeah, that's great. Now here in the Nmap, we can see that the post I was talking about, right? The 80 TCP is open. The in the later stages, I also found that 443 and 8080 were also open, but they were restricted by Cloudflare. Yep, go down. Mm, just zoom in a bit here. Great, yeah. So that's the curl I command for WP login. It's restricted due to the DNS or the edge block. Further, we can go to, oh, yeah, these are all kind of the same. We can go down to the Nikto, that's WP. Okay, as long as you're on the WP, just go up. Yeah, yeah. S- mm, Study board, yeah. So here we can see that I attempted to enter through the 403, but it's indicating that it's blocked through Cloudflare. So that's actually a pretty good sign for us. Further, you can go down to the Nikto as we talked about. Yeah. Here again, it's hitting the 443 Cloudflare, which again shows that it's a led security approach that we handled and not just the security where we took one and then built upon it and then upon it. No, we had a led approach for the security, and rest of all the commands are just a security process checks that we passed on. So all in all, it's a very strong parameter, but residual risk is like medium because we haven't directly validated the origin, and we need a bit tighter in-app hardening. But that's okay because we were kind of restricted by the AWS Academy costings, and some of the settings were not really set well. Well, it's an Academy platform, right? All in all, great effort by the guys. Thanks, everyone. That's it from our side.
Thank you, guys.